Joining us today, we have Dana Calfee. Dana is a junior high science teacher from Greensburg Community Schools. So welcome, Dana.
Thank you.
Yes, welcome. And so you were just explaining to Sarah, so we might as well explain to the entire universe what you teach.
I actually am the department chair, and I teach 6th and 7th grade science, but we integrate the computer science standards for the middle school grade band across all of our science classes in 6th to 8th grade. So we're kind of in maybe like the 3rd year of integration, trying to figure out how best to develop units and find those places where the computer science standards fit into our science curriculum. It's been fun, challenging, but fun. There's a lot of smart people all over the state who are trying to do the same thing. So it's been great expanding the network of teachers to talk to and learn from as we all try to do that.
Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know your teachers at your school, but I know a lot of schools, we generally have some teachers that are a little apprehensive about teaching the computer science. It scares them because they don't know it and they're afraid they're not going to be able to teach it well. And so how have you guys overcome that?
Well, I'm not sure that we 100% have. I think that we were pretty much terrified the first time we thought about it. We're a group of people that say, okay, that's a problem, but we'll figure it out. And if you want us to integrate this, because that's how we're going to meet that computer science mandate, then we're doing it. So one of the things that we did was we participated in Nextech Professional Development and got some training in computer science discoveries with code.org. And what that did for us was for people, none of us have computer science backgrounds. I'm old enough that I have the ancient computer endorsement on my license. So like I had to know what a CD-ROM drive was and how that was different from a floppy disk. Like I had to know those things. So that's the extent of, and then I think later on in life, I maybe took a Visual Basic class and I sat in the back of that class just terrified by all the other students who were making these animation, like these birds fly out of cages and do all this crazy stuff on their programming. And I'm like, move the rectangle to the right, press this button, that's all I could get out of it. So yeah, I think the thing about Indiana, that we have a lot of professional development opportunities. So that's what we did to help alleviate that fear. We participated and got some basic understanding in a curriculum. And then we use that as a foundation piece, just so that as teachers, we could have common language about computer science, right? And then we could brainstorm around how we could use and adapt some of those units to be integrated into our science classes. But now in year 3, now that most of us are very well versed in that curriculum, we are feeling way confident and we're branching out and we're pulling in other resources, and we don't feel as nervous about maybe telling the kids wrong or giving them the wrong information, because we've just had such good access to resources in Indiana and such excellent access to professional development. So, and a lot of it's free. So I think that's all of those pieces work together to help us eliminate some of the fear. But I gotta tell you, there's not a day that, when I'm teaching something brand new in computer science, I still have these moments where I'm like, I hope this works. I so hope this works. And it usually does. It's the normal teacher fear.
Yep.
I see a lot of parallels to maybe first year teaching, right? So it sounds like you're hitting year 3 and you're finally feeling like, okay, we're going to pull some new resources. I think, gosh, that is exactly what I've experienced and what I've mentored other new teachers experience. This first, really it's year 3 that it's just, okay, things are going to start clicking. And so that's really cool.
Absolutely.
And so what are some of these resources that you found helpful?
am prepared today to talk about one that kind of helped save the day when we went into quarantine, and now that I've seen it and worked with it, I feel like it's also just something I'll use when we're face to face, just to help solidify some of the things we're trying to talk about. Two things. Number one, kids, like, what we've learned is, kids are excited about learning some computer science stuff, but what they really like is physical computing. And we had that all slated to go in March. We were like, when we come back from spring break, it's on. We're going to take the plunge. We're totally diving into this. We can do it. And then we couldn't. So, but that's okay because we could. And I figured, we figured out a different way. So what I did was I used Microsoft MakeCode. And do you want me to share my screen right now or no?
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
no?
I've not seen this.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm just gonna share my screen and show you what I did or what we kind of came up with, and then talk you through just one little assignment that we did, and then a way that I use some Google tools to manage it. And it won't take me long, but that's what I'm going to do. So
Sounds awesome.
Excited.
Perfect.
Okay. So what MakeCode. So this is, let's go here. Hold on. How do I, of course, practice, and now it's not doing what I want it to do. So there, I have to wait for it to go away. There we go. Okay. So when you go to the MakeCode website, a lot of schools have different physical computing things. If some schools have microbits, we have circuit playgrounds. But on this website, there's all kinds of different emulator places that you can go off to. So I was really pumped because they have this outstanding resource with the circuit playground. So when I go to the circuit playgrounds, I was able to, they have ready-made tutorials that show the kids how to code, how to make something that they've already made, right? So it's just you click through the tutorial, and then and the thing that's really nice about this website, and while we're waiting for it to load, but the thing that's really nice about this tutorial is that each of the steps in the tutorial are outlined right at the top, and you it kind of self-corrects, so you can't really go on until you get it right on the screen. So for a kid working at home who's never done this before, that was the other problem. I hadn't done any block coding with our sixth graders, so it was like brand new, and some of them had been off in world before, but none of them had actually coded like this, and they knew we these playgrounds because I was doing a little teaser with them before we before we launch into something. So they knew we had these things. They were pumped about being able to create their own programs and make the circuit playground do its own thing. So so I was excited to be able to use this. It's simple. It's not as I don't want to say clunky, but it's not as intense as some of the other emulators, and I think it worked out really well for the different age range that we were pushing this assignment out to. So even seventh graders who had a little block coding before jumped on this assignment and said, "Oh, this is fun! I really like it," which you didn't get a lot of that from remote learning. There wasn't a lot of. It was more like, I got this done. What do I do now? It's done. There wasn't a lot of joy in turning stuff in. So I felt the joy on this, and it was great. So what I did though, I created just a regular hyperdoc that gave them specific instructions, and throughout the course they learned that they would get this whole document on the first day of the quote unquote week, and then they would report back to me daily in a Google form. Like, so if this was assigned on a Tuesday, it would do the following Tuesday. So they would report back to me on a Google form every day. So any day you're working on it, fill out this form. So every day I could get on this form and I could see who's working on the assignment, what you're working on, and what questions do you have. So some of the kids would say, I'm working on Engage. I don't have any questions. Or I'm on the explain block. Wow, that's a lot of information. So it helped me. This just helped lay it out, and then provide video explanations of different, like a different explanation than MakeCode provided. So they would have a little bit more information if they needed it. And then screenshots of this is how you get your project started. So on the weekly assignment, the projects were pretty simple because I was trying to make sure everyone would at least attempt and would at least try. And then as projects came in, I would email kids and say, hey, can you make that last longer? I really liked your song. Can you figure out how to make that last longer? That's cool. They'd be like, I'll do it. And get back to me. So this is the gist of how I set it up on a HyperDoc. You can share a link from a MakeCode project. It creates a shareable link. So I had them publish their projects and then turn that link in a Google form so that I could have them all in one place.
Okay.
So yeah, really enjoyed the process of being able to. This wasn't a huge ask on reading and reading comprehension. It was a big ask on, there's a couple of new vocabulary words, and you see those blocks that are related to those vocabulary words, and now you can mess around with them and see what they do, and you're not going to get an F, and you're not going to fail, and it's okay. Nobody's going to know if you put the blocks in the wrong order and it doesn't work. Just do it. Just keep practicing and ask me questions if you have it. So I think in that regard, it was kind of like a relief for some kids. They were like, oh, I can deal with this. I got this. So
Dana, did you make that doc? Did you create that doc, or was that provided in the MakeCode?
No, I made this. I made the document. Now, I will show you this in MakeCode. Let me see if I can show you this. Let's see if I. Okay, let's just do here. Let's just do this. Down here at the bottom, there are some like create and have fun. And so there's different projects that they have that teach you how to use some of the different features of the circuit, some of the inputs on the circuit playground. So like the metronome or the speaker or the MP3 player. There's lots of different things. That's what's called a playground. There's lots of different things that you can program and have it do. You can see the light show. So down in these courses though, and then also in these projects, when you open up each one of these, there's a PDF. I mean, there's a whole thing that shows you like, how do I do this step by step? So, so there is some documentation here that helps teachers who maybe like, helps me, helps me take the fear away. Like I feel like, wow, I've got a PDF. I can so do this. So, there is quite a bit of documentation here, and so if kids feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
All these projects, you can do all these in a block coding?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Because I've seen it at cosplay. I've seen different cosplay things where they have this just amazing lighting things going. I know they use those little discs like you have. And I just thought, wow, that's going to be too hard for me to do.
See, that's false. I used to think that too myself. And now I'm like, I can totally figure this out. Some of them are a little challenging, but for me, it helps me to go through these tutorials and like make a birthday crown or make a cup lamp or whatever. And it helps me to do, like, as I do those things, it helps me to understand a little bit better. And then I can go on and be creative and jump off and do things on my own. So
how fun.
So for students in a remote setting, some of them needed to feel successful just following the directions in the tutorial and making the thing happen. And that was great work for them. And then the other, I had, a smaller group of kids who were like, now what? So we would get into an email conversation and share like things we saw on Twitter or projects we found online that used the circuit playground, and would be cool to make a model of the circulatory system, and the circuit playground lights up as oxygen goes into the lungs. I mean, there's like things like that all over the internet. So we started, posting those ideas to a Padlet and saying, wow, this would be cool to do this. It would be cool to do this. And then we were able to generate some comment dialogue about, well, okay, how did you do that? Which type of block would we have to use to make that happen? Which sensor on the circuit playground do we have to code for? Like, what input are we going to use? How do you think that happened? And so, whether they were right or wrong, it got them thinking about, like, well, I don't know, but I could go try it because I have this emulator that I can move blocks around on, and no one's going to know if I mess up because I'm sitting at home, So, and if I'm successful, I know how to share my link with somebody I can share my link with my teacher, and she will love it because she loves everything I do. So it'll be, it was a nice way. It was a nice way. And for a couple of kids, they were super pumped. And of course I have a circuit playground at home. So I was able to download their, they were like, look, I did it. So their program runs and you actually see the circuit playground do its thing. But so for one of the kids who was particularly engaged during e-learning, emailed me, just said, on the first day we get to come back to school, can I come and find you? Because I won't be in your class. I'll be in the 8th grade. Can I come find you? Can we put it on a real one? So like, yes, we can. But I can do it for you. So I downloaded it onto the circuit playground and did a little screencast video for her. And she thought that was the greatest thing ever. But yeah, and this was kind of a low, I got to say, there were a lot of lessons I made during e-learning that were high intensity and took a whole lot of time. This one did not. This was a big bang for a low amount of effort, and so that's why I know I use it. Even though we use a different platform for all the rest of our computer science stuff. I'll end up using this as well. But one of the things I did want to share that I felt like, some people would look at the physical computing. Kids they're just playing. What are they learning? That kind of thing. So on the form that they had, I just shared this. So when they had assignments like this, they would turn it in on a Google form. So this is just your garden variety. What's your name? What period are you in? Then give me the link to your project. Then I had opportunity to ask them a couple of questions. So this is straight from MakeCode. Like, here's a little picture. Describe what would happen on the circuit playground if programmed with the pictured code. So you understand what those loops mean, and do you know what that means? So I had to describe it in their own words, and then describe what a loop block does in a computer program. That was kind of in order to go on and do other things, they kind of had to be able to attach a function to the names of these blocks. So like, we're not just, it's not the purple block that's doing that. It's the fact that it's a loop. So what does that mean exactly? So that was one thing, that was one tool that I used just as a check-in. So if they're filling it out and I can read those two answers and they're kind of just out there lost, then I could reach out to them. So that was great, and I continued to do that. But I realized that there were a lot of kids who were like, it was hard. It took a really long time to go through and assess all of this because of the other constraints for tracking attendance and answering technology questions. And, you know, there was just that whole other, I just call it, it's just the bag of COVID that happened, right? So there were a lot of things that just that interrupted the workflow. We take for granted when we're in the classroom how much we can formatively assess and how much we can give feedback quickly. So then I started. So something like this would happen maybe when a kid was done with a task, or on a daily basis, if there was a specific thing I wanted them to make sure they got out of that day. I started instituting this weekly check-in. And here's the thing about this weekly check-in. I don't know if a lot of teachers are not familiar with Autocrat, and it's an add-on that you can use on a Google Sheet.
Okay.
Do you guys use that? Do you use it?
I'm not familiar with it.
Okay. So here's what I super love about this little tool that I learned. Probably the best thing I'm going to say this whole time we're talking today. But I can set up this form, and I can set it up in a certain way so that I can collect some information. And then when the student submits this form, it's going to email them a document with whatever I want it's on that document. So it's attached to this form, okay? And I'll show you what I'm talking about in just a second. So it's gonna, when they submit this form, there's 2 questions on here that I want them to think about. So when they submit this, they're gonna get their answers to these questions in an email. Okay, and you're like, why would they want that? Well, because they're gonna get it in a certain format. So on the spreadsheet for this form, I can run an add-on that's called Autocrat. Okay. And when I run Autocrat on this form, and there's a little nuance to setting it up, which I won't go through unless you tell me to, but there's a little nuance to setting it up. But I can attach a template response to this form. So here's the template that I attach to this form. So when the kid fills it out, they see the question that was asked on the form, they see their response, and then they see my response. So and then at the bottom, they see, they look, and I didn't populate this part down here because I was making copies of this and just making it for this presentation. But so down here, in the target response, I would put like bullet points, what I needed to see in your target response. So like maybe on this one, I might have put like, I need to see the words input and output, right? Okay, so maybe that's what I might put here. And then down here, we want to make sure that kids are not confusing variable in computer science with variable in math. So I want it to definitely say variable is a container, etc. And that a loop is a set of instructions that repeats, right? Okay. So they would see what the target is, they would see theirs, and then I want them to tell me, you know, compare your response to my response and tell me what you're missing. On question 1, did you miss the target, or did you hit it over and above? Like, do you feel like you nailed it? What would you need to add for yours to be super awesome? So the kid gets this document in their email and I'll even show you what that looks like, because I filled out a fake one and sent it to myself so you could see, and also all my other 20,000 emails. Okay, so this is what they get. They get the document in their email and they can edit it. So when they open it up and they read what they wrote and they see, oh, I was so close, or no, I was not, or a variable is in math and a loop is like replay, I have some work to do, right? So they can see what they need to do, and then they get to come down and they can fill this in. Because I use these even when we were in person, this was not new to them. I used it for a different purpose. So I repurposed this tool that I'd used prior to the quarantine in this manner so that I could make sure that they were really drilling down on some important vocabulary and then some important code structures. So this helped me tons, and I'll show you, and I'll just wrap this up. This use of Autocrat helped me tons because they don't have to turn this in. Once they correct it, it's already in a folder. So I create a weekly check-in folder in my drive. And so when I open that up, I can see Julie's, I can see Dana's, I can see all of my students' responses all in one place. And if there are kids who I know are struggling, I can definitely, you know, I'll go in and I can comment on this document. They have the document, I have the document, and we don't have to like, try to figure out how to share this important piece of reflection or whatever. It also came in handy when parents had questions, if parents were frustrated, or even if parents were happy and excited. It also came in handy because I could just send this to a parent in an email and say, hey, your kid nailed it this week. Look how much thinking they're doing about their work. Like you guys are doing a great job, whatever. So anyway, Autocrat. It's kind of a cool tool, and and it's nice.
I had not heard of that either.
Yeah. So anyway, MakeCode made our days happy for everyone. Autocrat helped me take the activity that looks like play to like a different level of thinking. So.
Now, when you use the Autocrat, did it generate the template every time someone fills out the form? Does it make this the doc based off a template automatically?
So here's the template right here. I'll share that. And I made this template. You can make the template however you want. The key is in Autocrat here. I knew this is what's gonna be the best thing to do. Okay, so let me show you while I'm here. In my drive, I've created a folder, and in the folder I have my check-in form, and I have the spreadsheet that's gonna show the responses to the form. Thumbs up? Yep. Okay.
Yes. Good.
I am also so then I've got that set up before I go into the spreadsheet. So now I'm going to go into the spreadsheet. I'm going to run Autocrat. So here's my add-on, and I will run Autocrat. So on this particular spreadsheet, there's one job right now. It will start. There it is. Yay! Notice I don't have the fancy words to explain all this. I just know that when I first learned how to do this, I was watching somebody's video on how they did it for claim evidence reasoning, and it was super awesome. And then I just extrapolated from that to other tasks. So I can't tell you why I clicked the things I'm about ready to show you. I just do.
Okay. I just want to know how it works. I don't need explanations.
This is the job that I created for this spreadsheet that I've been showing you about. So I'm just going to go into edit it and then show you what you see. And it's looking for the job right now. That's what those dots mean. Okay. So you name your job. That's very straightforward. You're going to name your job and you're going to choose a template. So notice I have several templates I could choose from, but I chose the check-in Autocrat template that I made ahead of time, and it's in my folder. Okay. So then now we're going to map the source data, and I can't move this window, but the source data that they're talking about, this source data comes straight from how you set up your form. So notice one of my questions was first and last name. So that becomes a column header, and that's one of my pieces of data that is part of this merge. Question 1, that was part of my source data. That was set up on my form as a question. Question 2. Okay. All right. So those are all correct and just fine. So we're going to say next. On this screen, what I want my file to be named. I want it to be named the kid's name. If you don't do that, then all of your files are going to be named the same, and you'll have to open every one of them to be able to tell what kid it is. And the only reason I know that is because I did that for a long time, and I was like, why is this so challenging? And I was like, I gotta name it kid's name. But anyway, so I just thought I'd share. How do you get that? You just use this little slide out, pop out, and then you click the one you want. You close this off, and then you right click, and then you paste it into the box. First, last name, always. Lots of files. Easiest way to tell. And then I wanted it to be a Google Doc, and I always use classic mode. I don't know why. It's just it works. So why change it, right? Okay. Right. So then you want your destination folder. This is critical. You have, and it's kind of you need to make a folder before you start Autocrat.
Okay.
If you don't have a destination folder, then you have to back out of all this and start again. So make sure you've got that folder. It's already checked. I don't need a dynamic folder reference. I think this has something to do with, like, if you wanted to send it to a couple of different folders, but I don't really know. So, but it's not messing me up. So I haven't investigated further. I just leave this blank. Okay. Someone watching this will know, and then they'll email me and say, hey, I can help you out there. Okay, merge position. I wanted to make sure that my form collects the timestamps. I just wanted to make sure that had something in it. So that means that someone took the form, right? They actually filled out the form. So timestamp not null. When you first get to this screen, it's blank when you're first setting up Autocrat or a job on your spreadsheet. So you have to add a condition. And when you do that, this is the one that pops up first. So just that one. Okay. This is my favorite part. This is where you tell it where you're going to send it. What do you want to do? So I say, I share it as a doc. I want it to be editable because I want them to be able to add stuff to it, and I want to be able to add stuff to it. I want them to be able to reshare it with whoever they need to share it with. Some of my projects that I use Autocrat with, they have to be able to share it with another partner for peer review. So they've generated all this for a working class and then added their own thoughts, and then they're picking someone or sharing it with the person that I designate. Like, you guys share with each other, and they need to be able to do that. So it just saves a step, saves you answering the question 1,000 times. Just click it here, and then it's not a problem. And then I always say no, because it doesn't need to be a generic no reply address. You're sending this from it'll to them, it'll look like it came from me. Okay. So down here, again, I want it to go to their email that they filled out on the form. So I pop this out and get their email and paste it here. And then I just type them a little message. Congratulations on your work. Please compare the answers you submitted to the teacher responses. Add your reflection responses to the Google Doc. Email me if you have any questions. Sometimes it says something else. Sometimes it's a big surprise. Like it's like one of my Bitmoji buttons, and if they can tell me which one was in the email, they get like to enter into the class drawing. I mean, we make it all kinds of fun, right? Make sure you go check that email because there's still another part of your assignment. And then so once you've got that set up, you have to tell it what kind of a trigger to run on. And I want it to run on the form trigger. I want the response sent to me when they submit the form. So I say yes, and I don't need a time trigger. And then I'm done. And I save it.
So then as they complete the form, then they get that feedback, and then it's just all right there.
To their email, like, immediately. Yeah. So that was just another way. The people that worked. Okay, so I felt really terrible during COVID because I could not give enough feedback at the highest at the frequency that I wanted to. I tried really hard. And I was probably harder on myself than my students were, but I knew that there were students who were really working. Like, I think everybody was working at their own level of hard. Like, they were really trying to do their best work. And I think for those early finishers, this was great because they could, if I was working with a problem situation, then they at least had a way to get feedback. Like, they wouldn't be sitting there going, I wonder if this was the right answer, or I wonder what Miss Calfee's explanation is, or something like that. So and those were the kids that, they already had the capacity, the good work practices. Like, they knew because the mantra is submit the form, check your email, submit the form, check your email. Like, I mean, there were enough instances during the weeks where we were in school that they knew that there was information forthcoming to them. So yes, they would get instant feedback. And then as far as other kids who I knew what they were working on, because we were in a constant email or a quick Zoom or something to try to sort things out. It gave me an opportunity to see if anything we were talking about was sinking in. Like, are you able on your own now to put some thoughts together? So I don't know. It helped with my workflow. That was the point in sharing it. It just made my workflow go a lot smoother.
No, I think that's awesome. I'm going to play with that.
That's what I got.
I love that, being able to give them that feedback back. I mean, they're always getting something from you every time they submit things. Oh, that is awesome. At first, I saw that folder when you pulled it up with documents. I thought, oh, my lands, did she spend like a lifetime creating documents for every student? But no, oh, you got it going on.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the other thing is, well, it's nice because, Google Classroom will make a copy. Like, I could have put the template in Google Classroom, but it didn't have their answers in it, and have their answers to the questions in it already. And it didn't have, notice I asked several questions on that form, but these are the only ones that I have on my template, right? Like, I include them into 2 responses. I could still look and if they could answer the other question with the visual picture, but this is what I wanted them to reflect on. So it gave me some choices without asking them to take extra steps, which was
well. And then really, you weren't trying to evaluate them off of you weren't trying to evaluate them off the spreadsheet either. And so I think that sometimes I think that's tricky to try to like see the whole response if it's wordy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the other part too is one kid, so even if it's 30 seconds, but for most kids it's longer than that, because I'll send them an email and say, hey, I didn't notice you checked because that's the other thing. If you set your template up right, you don't even have to open the document, and you can tell if they've written in it at the bottom. You can tell if they've reflected, right? So you can just scan through my folder and get a group email going, blind copy all of them and say, hey, I need you to check your email and give me some thoughts on your responses. First 10 to do it, thumbs up from me, whatever. I mean, just, to try to get them to do it. But even whatever the delay time is, that processing delay, some of the kids would go back and read what they typed in the form, and they'd be like, I don't even know why I said that. Like, that doesn't even make any sense. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. Because when they see it compared to a correct answer, then they'll say a lot of their responses are things like, okay, I know that is not what I wrote is not what I meant. What I meant, I said it backwards, or what I meant to say was this way. And so I mean, it's not always ideal for them to have an exemplar answer to compare to when you're asking them to reflect. But in that situation, they were working hard just to do this work. And I think giving them an opportunity to feel successful, and it's mentoring text. So the teacher responds as a mentor text for them to be able to practice saying the answer the right way or putting the thought together in their head the right way. So having them then go back and have that place where they sort of rate themselves compared to the target expectations gives them that second chance to go back and sort of correct their own wording. So I don't know. You're right. I don't necessarily like to grade off a form, but I can get a lot out of these reflections, and they're fast. It's fast to go through and see. So
absolutely.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that I could add lights and stuff to my cosplay. It looks, I could do that, I think.
You totally can.
Dana, thank you so much for sharing this today. I think this is really, really useful, and I love this. And I think this is just another example of how that online learning just looks different than when you have them in the classroom. This is just a different type of learning, but I think you're still really hitting the mark with these kids with what they're doing with these, the online emulator and things. So that's awesome.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you. Thanks.
Yeah.
I was going to say the only I think it's in the teaching world. We're all as good as all the people around us, and I learned so much from my colleagues and being able to access good resources. Because I wouldn't have on my own known how to set up Autocrat, but another educator somewhere else in the world explained it for her thing, and I think that's one of the cool things about education and teaching anyway, is I think we all have a general goal of helping each other and trying to do the best for our students. So I hope this helps somebody. So
I'm sure it will.
Well, it already has, because it helped me, because I'm changing some stuff that we're doing next week based on this now.
Me too.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah. Have a great week.
You too.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. Please hit that subscribe button so you'll continue to hear about new resources for the classroom.
If you have a resource to share or want us to find a resource about something in particular, tweet us at Purdue SOS or email us at k12science@purdue.edu.
Boiler up!
Hammer down.